Other people are doing their own political compass, so I thought I would join in, just to see how much I've changed since last time. I'll take the test seriously. I promise. If economic globalisation is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I see it as very sensible that the economy should overall serve humanity, instead of serving only a few rich fucks. If Soros cared so much about the people in the third world, why doesn't he use his money to directly help the countries that they're from, instead of just moving them to Europe where capitalists can profit from their labour? Strongly agree. I'd always support my country, whether it was right or wrong. Of course. But seriously, if my country actually started doing things that I found morally abhorrent, I would be against it. I was against the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and right now I am massively against our country becoming an authoritarian shithole. Strongly disagree. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. I don't feel you can claim pride over an event or act that you personally didn't have a hand in. For example, I can't show pride over Scotland ending slavery because I wasn't around back then and I didn't contribute to it being made illegal. But I also wasn't around when slavery was legal and I didn't contribute to that either, so that shit's got nothing to do with me. No white guilt here. I still think it's important though for everybody to work together to make sure their country does great things. So I feel if you're contributing to making your country great, and your country does do great things and you contributed, then it's fine for you to be proud of that. So I'm going to put disagree on that one. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. I wish I could just blank this one. Yes, there are racial differences, but I don't bother looking into them because personally I don't really care. The differences aren't going to make me treat anyone any differently, so I'm not bothered. So I'll put disagree on that one. Well then go do your own one. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They'll be your friend right up until you've beaten your common enemy, and then right after that they'll come after you. Ideological supremacy is the name of the game. Strongly disagree. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. I'm not sure about that one because military action is something that should be an absolute last resort or under really exceptional circumstances. The question's far too broad, so I'm just going to put disagree. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Yep, I would say that is absolutely true. For example, people take my jokes as foolproof, undeniable evidence of my politics, yet my actual statements that I make about my politics are very often ignored. It's almost like it's done on purpose, yeah? How weird is that? But you get a lot of people that think that just because you posted an edgy Pinochet meme that you unironically want to murder left-wingers when you were only just, making a joke. So, strongly agree. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. I would say so. Companies don't really care about where you're from, just as long as you do their bidding for minimum wage. Agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. Unemployment has a massive effect, especially in Scotland. The SNP are trying to say that unemployment is down, but the vast majority of jobs, especially in the service industry, they're all part-time. All of them are part-time, so yeah, people are employed, but they aren't making enough money to afford the basic cost of living, let alone save up enough money for a deposit in a house. Or they're all working in call centres and they're trying every day to resist the urge to switch their rubber ducky for a toaster. The massive overuse of part-time positions is just a sneaky way of fudging the statistics to make it look like unemployment is low. Yeah, unemployment is low, but people aren't making enough money to afford the basic cost of living. I mean, yeah, inflation is an issue, but not really for the people who don't have money. You kind of need money to be affected by inflation. Disagree. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. Now, I know people get really mad when the government starts to control companies and regulate them, but there have been very many cases in the past of companies fucking the environment, the public get pissed off, but then the public just continue to pay for the services of these companies, so nothing gets done, nothing happens. People always say to vote with your wallet. but they never do. For example, you get a lot of socialists and communists that got really pissed off over the Foxconn iPhone factory suicides, and they were really upset at the working conditions of the place, actually drove people to kill themselves. Oh, they were so upset, and these far lefties would post these concerns online with their iPhones. I mean, you would be surprised the shady shit that people are willing to look past if you sell a really good product. I feel there should be some regulation of it, but to what extent? That can be a discussion for another time. Agree. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea. For starters, fuck off, communist. The only way for that system to actually work is for every single person in the system to act in good faith. And a hell of a lot of people don't act in good faith. You get a lot of people these days that are self-diagnosing themselves with mental disorders and disabilities, or simply just making lazy excuses to not be in work. I'm completely fine with there being welfare safety nets for people that get fired or made redundant so that they have something to support themselves while they're trying to find work. I have no issue with that at all. But you do get people who just really are not interested in working and just want that free government money. I know this because I used to hang around with people like that. They used to fake entries in their job centre book, making it look like they applied for non-existent jobs so that they looked like they were trying, just so that they could keep receiving benefits. The each to his ability and each to his need system would just be abused, and it would only encourage laziness. What we should be doing is encouraging businesses to grow and also base themselves here, so that instead of people competing for jobs, companies could then have to compete for staff, which means, they would need to attract staff with better wages, better benefits, and so on and so on. And I just feel that would make things better, make staff a valued commodity, one that you have to fight for and cherish with all these, attractive bonuses that come with the job. But then again, I'm not an economist. Strongly disagree, and again, fuck off, communist. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product, but it's been filtered through layers of volcanic rock, and volcanoes cost money. Disagree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. In Scotland, we actually have a freedom to roam law where you can go on private land for the purpose of recreational activity on the condition that you aren't causing a disturbance, littering, damaging the wildlife, poaching, etc, etc. So you can just go out and walk into any field, and most of the time the owner just allows it as long as you aren't causing any damage. Just don't go into any of the sheep or cow fields during the breeding season. You've been warned. But if you want more information, just look up the Land Reform Act of 2003. But until then, hippity hoppity, get off my property. Strongly disagree. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. Yeah, that is pretty regrettable. Agree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. If your business fails, then it fails. Don't waste money on propping up something that is failing, but move on to something else that people will actually, like and generate you money. Like, if your business can't thrive, then it shouldn't be alive. Don't get mad. Get competitive. Strongly disagree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders. Now, while I do think that it should be somewhat enforced for companies to not do damage to the environment, monopolisation laws and so on, but to go out of their way to help, that shouldn't be forced. But the fortunate thing is, companies know that by doing good things for society, it gives them a very good public image. It makes them look good, which ultimately can help generate revenue. I mean, like when they donate proceeds to charity and other humanitarian stuff. They aren't doing it because they want to help, they're doing it because they want a good image for marketing reasons. So it's not a very honest way of doing it, but at least some good comes of it. Agree. The rich are too highly taxed. I can only speak for Scotland on this because our tax brackets are really, really fucky. Like, for example, if you are earning 150,000 a year, then your tax bracket is 46%. You're on the 46% tax rate, which is nearly half of your earnings, but that is the high threshold. That's the high threshold, which means that someone who earns 10 million a year pays the exact same rate as someone who's earning 150,000, which, personally, that's not fair. So, disagree. But taxation is theft. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. That's the thing is, we have that here. I mean, you can go to the NHS, which is free, but I'm not going to lie, it's shit. it's shit, and you'll be on a long waiting list. It will probably be months before you actually get any kind of treatment. But if you have the money, you can go private, where things are done a lot faster and a lot better. I mean, if you have the money for it, I see no reason why you shouldn't have that option available to you. So, strongly agree. Government should penalise businesses that mislead the public. I think there should be punishment for businesses willfully misleading the public. For example, you get people that try and sell alternative medicine for things like cancer and so on, and they can sometimes trick people into not seeking normal treatment, which can result in their death. So in circumstances like that, yeah, I would be fine with them being penalised. Agree. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. That's the thing, that's true. Ironically, if you want a free system, you need some regulations to make sure that it stays free. It's just a sad fact, because if people can abuse the system and make it much less free, but to their own benefit, they will. So, agree. The freer the market, the freer the people. Competition is what helps us progress. Companies are constantly trying to outdo each other so that they can fund their own research into better technology, faster production, minimising waste and so on. A lot of the technology that we have now is so advanced because we have companies that are trying to outcompete each other with their products. I mean, we see, if it wasn't for these companies competing with each other and trying to outdo each other, we wouldn't be as advanced as we are now. So, strongly agree. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Ah, fuck. I would say first trimester. First trimester, I would be absolutely fine with that. Well, not absolutely fine, it's still a sad thing, but like, I would agree with it being in the first trimester. Definitely not this new law that's came in. So I'm going to say disagree. You can all scream in the comments that I don't read. All authority should be questioned. You already know my answer to this. Strongly agree. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth leaves the whole world blind and gummy. Strongly disagree. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theatres or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. The thing is, that's a funny one, because some museums actually do a lot of research that produces a lot of historical knowledge that doesn't really have any commercial viability. So while it's nice for us to know this knowledge, you can't really profit from it, which is where the revenue streams are a bit of a problem. The knowledge that they gain can be applied into other research, but then again, that research has to have some way of generating revenue. History is nice to know, but the thing that makes the research keep going is money. So how can you convert the product of the research into revenue? And that's the biggest issue that most museums face. So, I don't know. I don't know. I do feel that some museums should be propped up if they preserve cultural heritage and important artefacts. So, I'm going to say disagree here, but that one's really, really broad. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. It shouldn't be, but education should still be open to everyone. Like, everyone should have the ability to go into education. Plus, with the way the world is, by not encouraging your child to get an education, or at the very least, giving your child homeschooling, all you're doing is screwing your child over with his future prospects. So, yeah, it shouldn't be forced. But if you want your offspring to be able to survive in this modern world, then it's in their best interest for you to make sure they get an education. So, agree. All people have their rights, but it's better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. Well, I wonder what you mean by that. See, if people are friendly and get along with each other and they're of different kinds, then I don't see how that matters. I wouldn't not hang out with someone just because they are of a different kind than me. I wouldn't hang out with them if they were a dick. That's usually a deal breaker for me. But I mean, see, if people of different kinds are interacting and getting along, then I don't see the problem. But then again, if there's certain kinds that don't get along, then you can just not interact with them. Nobody's Nobody's forcing you to be friends with someone, so I'm going to put disagree on that. Can you just fuck off? Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. Sometimes with kids, a little bit of physical education is needed, you know. A single smack on the arse usually sends the message, don't beat the shit out of your kids, yeah? Like, it should never go that far, but although sometimes that can toughen your kids the fuck up and, you know, make them not so scared of getting their ass beat in future whenever they get into a fight. Thanks, Dad. Agree. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. No, Dad, I have not been smoking weed out of my bedroom window. Are you starting to understand why I got my arse kicked a lot? Strongly agree. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offence. No, it absolutely should not be, so strongly agree. I keep bringing it up at the UKIP meetings. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. Yes, but also life skills as well. Like, for example, I think home finance management is something that should be added to the curriculum. You know, teaching you how to manage your money, pay bills and avoid debt. I mean, I've got a feeling a good few banks would probably be against that getting introduced. But, I mean, I'm going to put just an agree on this because I feel that there's other stuff that should be included in the curriculum. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. Goddamn, that's quite fash. No, strongly disagree because they have just as much right to reproduce as everybody else. Buddha, fuck off. The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No. There are a lot of more important things like morals and ethics that children should learn. But the problem is, like, yes, you should accept discipline and use it to benefit yourself and, you know, progress yourself and develop yourself. But the problem is not all discipline is warranted. It's not all justifiable. And kids are usually, you know, kids aren't old enough to sort of analyse things and discover whether or not the discipline they are receiving is justifiable. I mean, they're kids. You know, how many kids have done something wrong and sat there and just accepted the discipline? Nobody wants to accept discipline, so... No, disagree. There's more important lessons that kids should learn, like ethics and morals. There are no savage and civilised peoples. There are only different cultures. Have you ever been to Dundee? Disagree. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. See, if you're offered a job that you are able to do, and you reject it for no good reason, then you should not get any support. Pull your weight. Strongly agree. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. No, disagree on that one because it's good to talk about your problems. You know, it really doesn't help to ignore them. Which is why today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm joking. First generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. I'm going to disagree with that one because they can. It's just a lot of them don't make the effort. Yes, you're racist. We know. Nobody cares. You fat wee Nazi. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Depends what it is. Like, I'm gonna put disagree on that because that is far too vague. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I would say so because see, as soon as I see a media organisation that's getting government funding, I just immediately assume that it's propaganda. That's just where my mind goes to. I mean, I like media that's honest and isn't being influenced by the government or corporations, so I'm gonna say agree on that one. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counter-terrorism, not just in the name of counter-terrorism, but also in the name of social justice and diversity. I cannot strongly agree hard enough. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. Seems like authoritarian propaganda, but okay. Strongly disagree. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried, while the government likes to constantly change what constitutes as wrongdoing an awful lot, so we should all be worried. Strongly disagree. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. See this? It's not just as straightforward as that, you know, it's the death penalty question's a common one when it comes to philosophy. Like, for example, you know, when a government murders a murderer, aren't they being a little hypocritical? I wish there was a neutral option for that, because I'm really, really unsure about that question, so I'm just going to I'm putting disagree on this one just because there is no neutral option. In a civilised society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. Again, seems like authoritarian propaganda, so disagree and fuck off. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. Art's completely subjective. Each individual gets to decide what they do or do not consider to be art, so strongly disagree. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I think it should be an equal measure. People should be punished for wrongdoing, obviously, but there should also be steps taken to reduce reoffending. I'm going to put disagree on here for the time being because I feel that they're both important. It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. That's true. Sometimes it is. You know, some people just sadly can't be fixed. So, strongly agree. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I agree as far as economic prosperity goes, because that benefits everyone, but that doesn't mean that artists and writers aren't important. They are, so I'm gonna put agree on that one. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. Personally, kind of, from my personal standpoint, I would agree with that, because, you know, the natural order of things and all that, but I wouldn't take that choice away from people. I mean, if a woman works or is a homemaker, I would want that to be her decision alone, so I'll put disagree on that one. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Oh, hell yeah, strongly agree, they absolutely are. I mean, have you seen what China is doing to Africa right now? They are bleeding that place dry. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Depends what kind of establishment it is though, doesn't it? Disagree. Astrology accurately explains many things. Strongly disagree. Bullshit. You cannot be moral without being religious. Yes, you can. Strongly disagree. Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Not in its current form, no. Look at all the huge charities that we have right now, right? And have a look at how much of the donations actually go towards the causes. A lot of charity CEOs drive big, shiny cars. Disagree. Some people are naturally unlucky. Superstitious bullshit. Strongly disagree. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Religious education is not a prerequisite for morals and ethics. Strongly disagree. Sex outside marriage is usually immoral. Strongly disagree, because I don't want to be a hypocrite now, do I? A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. Strongly agree, because a child shouldn't be denied a loving home because of some bullshit. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population. Strongly agree, because it's none of my business and I only consume the highest brow of hentai. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. Sexuality, what you do in the bedroom, as long as it's with another consenting adult or several consenting adults at the same time, if you are a player, is literally no one's fucking business apart from the people in that room. As long as they're adults and as long as they're consenting, it's nobody's fucking business. So, strongly agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I'm going to put disagree, because personally, I wouldn't know. But I mean, even if being gay was natural or a choice, that's irrelevant. People should still have the freedom to be gay, whether it is a choice or not. These days, openness about sex has gone too far. I'm going to say agree, because kids are being taught about it far too young. And I keep seeing articles about discussions in masturbation and so on with kids that are just way too young for it, way too young, and it's an extremely disturbing trend. So yeah, agree. There we go. We've reached the end. So let's see where we are. There you go. Filthy libertarian centrist. Just a tiny little bit to the right. I wonder who that compares me to. Fuck off.
It's Count Dankula on YouTube. Everybody should subscribe.